Hey, this is Pamela Schneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Greg, we've been doing United Fresh Live this week. What's happening with United Fresh Live?
It is very weird not to be together with people in the produce industry. And it's also very weird having this virtual thing. And to be fair, it is still going on. So for the most part, I think we should reserve our review of the experience until it's done and we get some explanation. And I suspect that everyone is having kind of a different experience because we're at different levels of what we're comfortable with, what we've figured out. I mean, take the virtual cocktail parties, for instance. Someone like you, I'm guessing, loves that because you get popped into a room with strangers and you get to talk to people. And people who are less outgoing, it's a bit shocking, and you can just at least sit back and wave to people and compare their home offices to your own.
Yeah, I actually did the women in produce reception from the car on the way to soccer practice because I didn't want to miss it. But it was a jarring experience, and I have talked to someone else about how it's like your face is getting tired of being Zoom friendly. I think we have a certain, even the extroverts in the room have a certain amount of percentage of time during the day that you can be upbeat and smiling. And when you've got a camera and you never know who's watching you, even if you're in the Brady Bunch bubbles, it's hard to maintain all the time and actually look like you're interested and engaged. So that's, been a challenge. And for me, the experience, I mean, I think everyone probably had this. Day one, it was kind of reversed. Like when you think about an in-person trade show, there's like the wave that goes through. I think the wave was more like just kind of coming in a little bit at first because people weren't sure how they were going to interact with booths. People weren't sure what it was like when you went into a booth. Were they just going to pounce on you and start chatting you immediately? And will the video turn on? I don't know. I'm not ready for this. But I became more comfortable with the platform and had a little more time. And of course, working from home with kids here, it's really hard to be engaged with a trade show for 5 days, which I'm so thankful that the replay of almost all of the sessions will be available until September, because I couldn't get to everything. And I'm sure you couldn't get to everything.
No.
And so that is a nice part of it, although I was kind of frustrated that I would get to a booth and realize that I had missed their live event by like 10 or 15 minutes because I didn't get notification ahead of time that there was a live event happening at a specific booth. That's all the criticism I have for now. Overall, it's been an interesting week, and I think a lot of people are watching it to see, and especially the wait and see on PMA's deadline for deciding on fresh summits coming up. So I think they're going to rely heavily on feedback from this event.
I think so too. One of the things I was concerned about is it's basically a 3-day event in person and you're all in, and this is a 5-day event and everyone's still at home. So you pick and choose. I thought, man, that might seem too long, but now that it's coming to an end, I kind of wish it was going to keep going because on Monday, I was only familiar with so much. And by the end of the week, I'm much more comfortable with certain parts of it, but it's going to be over.
Yeah. I mean,
I wish there was more time.
There were so many events on Monday that I missed that I wish that everyone had held off and not had any of these booth events until Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because Monday, I hadn't even registered yet. I was one of the extra 3,000 or more people who didn't pre-register and didn't get any of that done until I was ready to go into the opening general session. I know I'm a slacker, but I think all of us were in that boat, still like getting our feet wet and figuring this out. And then, oh man, I missed an entire day's worth of live Zooms that I could have been interacting with because I was still, getting my bearings. So yeah, start later in the week. I mean, as far as, let everyone get used to it day one. And then, because we're not all standing on our feet and we're not all like on the entire time. So there's no pressure to just flip the switch and, immediately be standing there with in your booth waiting for the wave. So yeah, it's still, I'm still processing, and I still have a whole nother day to go,
Yeah.
and a whole nother reception to go this evening. So I'm reserving final judgment until we talk next week.
Yeah, and we want to talk to more attendees and see their experiences. It's been, I mean, we're trying to experience it ourselves. It's been hard to talk to other people about their experience. So let's give it some time.
Well, next up, of course, in our weekly analysis, I don't know how many weeks this is in a row, 6, 7, 8, something like that. The food box. Hey, they slipped a doozy in there, and it caught me off guard a little bit because we were expecting an announcement for request for proposals, and instead we got what?
They just said they extended contract. So I'm speaking about USDA. There was no huge announcement. They sent out a release, but there's basically no fanfare at all. They said uh, they've selected vendors for the next time period, which is going to run July 1st through August 30th. So that's should be 8 weeks, and they're budgeting $1.16 billion to it. And they said they've extended some contracts, they've cut some contracts off, and they've given some new contracts. But USDA isn't saying who it is. So at this point, in mid-June, we do not know who got the contracts, who got the new ones. All they've said is that they will post it on their site before the end of June. And I have questions out to the people at USDA for a little explanation.
Yeah, I mean, we all thought there was going to be an open proposal period, that people who maybe didn't get a contract the first time would have a chance to pitch, I guess, but no. Okay then.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, I had my own experience with the food box.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
how'd that go?
Last weekend, we got a note from some people we know from our kids' schools who said that there was a drop at a local public high school, and there were way more boxes than they could find people. And basically, these boxes were sitting on pallets in a refrigerated truck, and they were just doing everything they could to find people to give these to. And so we got the call that we should come get some. So we went and picked up 4 25-pound boxes of fresh produce, and we kept some and we gave all the rest of it away to family and friends who didn't know about it. Just yesterday, I saw one of my cousins, and I just brought him a treat of a bag of potatoes and a bag of apples and a bag of carrots. And he's got a couple kids, and he was like, "This is awesome." And I got to tell him the whole story about the food box program, and we've written about it and covered it, and now we've been recipients, and I've done my part in sharing the love.
It's kind of says something though that they had a disconnect between demand and supply, that I think is happening in some areas where the demand exceeds the supply and the supply exceeds the demand. So hopefully in the next round that they'll have a little better handle on where these drops are going to happen and the demand that's there to make sure that it matches up a little bit better.
I give them some slack because it's a tough, it's hard with the free market to have the right amount of supply for the right amount of demand. And now we're dealing with a government proposal or a government system that is doing its best to give produce to needy people, and sometimes not needy people who can still appreciate it end up being beneficiaries, like myself.
Yeah, for sure. And you share the love. I mean, yeah, why not?
I gave the gift of produce that was given to me.
On kind of a bummer note this week, one of our larger, more popular stories was a billion-dollar company going bankrupt. It was a food service distributor.
Maine's Paper and Food Service. It's not a company that I've covered a whole lot. They're based in Conklin, New York, according to our story. I can't recall ever talking with someone there over my career, but they apparently do 3.5 billion in annual sales, and they're filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy. But it's a weird filing because they're planning on liquidation, which would be Chapter 7. So it's anyway. The bad news is they're going bankrupt, and
But it goes along with another story that we had this week that from the National Restaurant Association. They did some surveying and some research, and they found that, from March till May, restaurants in the U.S. lost $124 billion, or how much was
120
it?
billion in lost sales, and then they're projecting the total through the end of the year to be 240 billion. And we knew it was going to be bad. We just hadn't seen some specific numbers pinned on it. But a thing that I thought was interesting is they did a survey of their members from basically mid-May to the end of May, and they asked them if they're open or closed, and 27% said they're still closed. They were in late May. And they asked them why they were still closed, and some of the answers were surprising. Like 55% said there weren't enough customers to reopen, but they could have reopened. I mean, there was nothing preventing them from reopening. They just didn't. They said there wasn't enough customers, and then
Yeah. We heard sentiments echoed in the United Fresh presentation for the Retail Food Service Awards. Some of the chefs that were produce excellence and food service chefs were encouraging people to go out and eat, because people aren't going out to eat much. And that's same in my life. I haven't really done some takeout, but I haven't really done a lot of in what do you call it? In-store dining? What is it? Restaurant dining. Inside seating. I haven't done that, if at all, in the last 3 months. I mean, it's great for my budget, terrible for restaurants. Oh, I think I'm not the only one in the country that is kind of avoiding eating out right now.
No, but a lot of restaurants and even cities and towns are getting smart and making exceptions for outdoor dining. Because weather's nice, and this virus is not nearly as contagious outdoors. So, for instance, we went out to a restaurant that we've been to a lot with some friends last weekend and sat outside in the patio, and it was lovely out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think a lot more people are going to take advantage of that opportunity, so long as their municipal rules allow for it. So, yeah.
Well, it's Father's Day this weekend, so I know Mother's Day is a huge restaurant holiday, and everyone missed out on that in May. So maybe the nation's families can treat their fathers to a restaurant this Sunday.
Instead of making them cook out in their own grills. I've never understood that. Happy Father's Day. Cook your own meal.
Yeah, at least you're outside with a beer. No one can bother you then.
That's it for the Produce Reporter Week in Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you're missing out. Sign up at producebluebook.com. I noticed you've got your badge there, but where's your flair?
I don't want to talk about my flair. You've got quite a bit of flair.
I know. I felt bad. I was missing my... Okay, so here's another thing that I was amused by at the booths. Some of them, actually, smart booth people, because you're missing out on samples. And actually, I have samples that were sent to me this week. Mastronardi Produce sent me some of their kaboom peppers. And then just like a sample pack of things that I normally would have like hoarded and taken home. And they know me so well that they're like, here you go, Pamela. Have some samples, because we know you're missing out. I've got a squeezy fruit here. I've got a USB drive. I got some mints, some lip stuff. Yeah, I have lip stuff too. An apple slicer. This is a pear slicer. So I'm not missing. I even have the craziest thing I've ever gotten. It's soap. It's in the shape of an avocado. But it doesn't smell like avocados. I don't even know if avocados have a smell.
They don't have a strong smell to me.
No. So I was kind of missing my tchotchkes, and I was kind of missing, it's too hot to wear the avocado leggings, not in a convention center, so I left those out. But I do have my 37 pieces of flair and my fruity earrings. So I am festive enough for a trade show, so I hope nobody's disappointed. But I was kind of missing out. So you can go to some of these booths and you can actually, if you're a buyer, you can request a sample. But then Perry and Sons even had a thing that said, want some swag? Click here. And you go say, we know you miss trade show swag. So sign up and we'll send you some. So I thought that was really cute to
That's nice.
give people the experience that they're used to. I mean, if you missed out going home with stainless steel straws and little bags for your glasses and cup holder coasters, because who thought of that? Who would have, well, that's PMA. Because who would have thought of a cup holder coaster? I didn't even know that was a thing. So if you're missing out on that, a lot of the booths, if you went to them, they had an opportunity to request a sample, which I'm sure is for buyers to see if they like the product, or to just get some swag that you might be missing out on. Because, you know, think of the swag industry. Trade show swag industry is probably hurting right now, not, you know, printing up pop sockets and all the latest stuff. I guess the swag of the season, if they have a PMA, a Fresh Summit in October, would be a mask. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe if you used to do swag, you can just write a really good proposal and get a $35 million proposal. And I mean, how different can it be stuffing produce in boxes as it is with tchotchkes?
You know what? I haven't checked in on Create a Date in a day or so. Let's see how they're doing right now. It's the same thing. Swag for a wedding event or swag for a trade show, produce in a box. It's all the same, right?
What's the difference?